What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode here at the Driver Mod. Today we're going to be talking about our 2015 Ford Fusion and recalls. So again, this is our 2015 Ford Fusion. It has 205,000 original miles on the original engine, turbo, transmission, the powertrain completely unopened and factory. It's had very few repairs outside of the recalls in my entire ownership. So I definitely don't want this video to scare you away from buying a Ford Fusion. They're great cars. I think they look fantastic. They're comfortable. There are just a few things you need to look out for specifically. If you'd like some Ford Fusion buyer's guide tips, drop a comment down below and I'll make a separate video on what you should look out for on the Ford Fusion from 2013 to 2020, engines, powertrain options, and things of that nature, and I'll help you guys out. I've had this car for over 8 years, 9 years now. It's been fantastic. But the main topic of today's video is Ford Fusions and the recalls. Fords and their recalls, they kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly. The 2013 through 2020 Ford Fusion, I want to say there's about 8 recalls associated with this vehicle across that lifespan for a various number of things. Some of them are just a minor inconvenience, others will leave you stranded on the road. So let's start off with the recalls that this car has experienced and is affected by, and either the repair has been done or is in the process. Let's start with the door latches. The door latches is a pretty common thing for the Ford Fusion in that 2013 to 2020 model year range. And what it consists of is an inspection of the door handles. They've each got their own little unique identifying number. The technician will upload that into the Ford database and it will tell you if your door latches need to be replaced or not. This car, the door latches need to be replaced, so when we dropped it off to have the other recalls done, they had those parts ordered, so next time we drop it off, we'll get the door latches replaced. Now, if you experience door latches where it's freezing, not shutting, it could possibly even open on its own, and that's the main concern with this recall. The door could potentially, in a very rare circumstance, delatch on its own and come open while you're driving. Obviously, that isn't safe for the occupants of the vehicle. The second one is, I've actually fixed this myself before it was a recall, and the concerns you're going to find with this problem is your cruise control is not going to work, and that's going to be weird to you. You're going to try and accelerate, and it might drive okay, it might give you some hesitation. But you'll get out of the car, you'll notice the stop lamps are still on, and that's because there's a little plunger on the brake switch, or on the brake pedal lever, that contacts the brake switch plunger. Over time, it's made out of like a composite. It's not 100% plastic. It's like a rubber plastic composite, and just over time, due to heat, it just cracks and falls apart. So I have already experienced that like 100,000 miles ago. I actually ended up taping a penny up there, or a coin. That way I didn't have to replace the little plunger and go through the issue all over again. But through the recall, they install a new plunger to complete that recall. Recall number 3, again, I had already replaced one of these because there wasn't a recall out on it, and that's for your front brake lines, where it goes from the caliper to the chassis of the car. Converts into a rubber line to give it some flexibility, and over time that rubber will crack, split, and it will leak brake fluid. Your pedal will go to the floor, and if it happens to you while you're driving, because it can happen at any time, especially due to age, I would say age is the most primary reason this happens. It can be pretty unnerving to have your pedal go to the floor and you're trying to slow down from 70 miles an hour. Fortunately for me, when mine happened, I literally had just gotten to the car, and when I pushed the brake pedal to start the car, it instantly went to the floor. So mine happened in a more ideal circumstance. But either way, the brake line was like 13 bucks. I threw that on there myself. Well, now there's a recall out on it. I took it in. They replaced both brake lines, even the one I had already replaced, with new Ford brake lines. They're supposed to bleed the system. And then the last one that this car is affected by, but it's kind of just the Takata airbag. Pretty much every manufacturer in the automotive industry was affected by the Takata airbag recall. It doesn't need anything replaced per the recall at this time, but just something to note. Now, a couple of the recalls that the Ford Fusion experiences is one will leave you stranded if it breaks in the wrong opportunity, and that's with your transmission selector lever. And what you're going to experience when this bushing fails, if the cable comes off the transmission is going to be stuck in whatever gear it came off in. So if you're in park, when it comes off, you'll be able to start the car, but you won't be able to put it into gear. If it comes off when you're in drive, you're not going to be able to, if you have a mechanical key, you're not going to be able to remove the key from the ignition switch, because the safety interlock will not, you can't engage it by putting the car into park. And then once the car is in drive, if you shut it off, you're not going to be able to restart it, because the car will only start if it's in neutral or park. So depending on when this bushing fails and where it fails and what gear the transmission is in when that thing actually falls off, it could leave you stranded. But it's a very simple fix. Underneath the engine air box, it's a little teeny tiny plastic rubber composite bushing, kind of like the same material that the brake stopper is made out of, and just due to heat vibration in the engine bay, it just falls apart and comes off. I've also had the software updated on this car probably about 6 years ago. I think it was for a recall. It might have been a TSB, but I think it was for a recall. I had that done along with the transmission shifter cable bushing done at the same time. So I think it was a recall because I didn't end up paying anything for it. So again, don't let the recall scare you from buying the car. It's a great car. You take care of it, you do proper oil changes, you do proper maintenance. The car will last a long time. I've got several videos on this channel showing you some common DIY repairs and fixes for this car. Pretty much nothing on, at least with this trim level, that fails is extraordinarily expensive, especially if you're doing the proper fluid maintenances. You shouldn't be repairing, and replacing major powertrain components. I mean, I can't complain. I'm at 205,000 miles and I'm still original. So after that, I would say you're just playing with house money. And if something fails, then, I mean, come on, it's got over 200,000 miles on it. But there are some other trim options and issues that are more expensive. So if you would like me to make a video kind of breaking that down further, drop a comment down below, and if I get enough comments asking for that kind of information, I'll be happy to make a video about that. So yeah, if you're thinking about buying a 2013 to 2020 Ford Fusion, highly recommend it. And I'll just leave you with, I would just avoid the 1.5 and 1.6 liter EcoBoost engines. Hope this helps. Take care, guys.